higher mental functioning decays. Rapid indoctrination is possible, but causes this decay in days or weeks. Slow, patient indoctrination allows the thrall to last for months or years.
Hi, this is Daniel Zana. Basically, as you can see, I'm around about halfway through this work here, and I've actually been distracted today on, with people and their responses with UKIP and all that. And to be honest, I can't understand why people have been indoctrinated in believing that UKIP is going to be the savior political party of the UK. They're not realizing that they're no better than the Conservatives, and then basically they are Conservatives on steroids. And as you could know, quite recently, the stupendous things that UKIP tends to hold. The things when I said, when one chap said, blaming the poor weather of the United Kingdom on the gay marriage issue and things like that. It's completely bananas. And they have audacity to mention other countries being bonga land, when they basically going to be turning the United Kingdom into a bonga land. And I actually did quite extensive research to back up my point of views. Here we go. This is done by an artist. UKIP beware. And even when you look at their political what you call it, logo or whatever you call it, it's the pound sign. Most people would think this is like indicating patriotism, or retaining the British pound, in order with in their ambitions to pull away from the EU. That is the delusion, actually. The truth is, the pound sign actually indicates the association with the banks and the bankers, who basically manipulated all political parties and all that. And this party is their ultimate choice of deceiving the people, so they can vote. They can vote and thinking that it's going to be a positive change, but apparently it's going to be a negative change, like I had warned people in 2009, 2010 about the Conservative Party and David Cameron, before I actually found out that David Cameron was in the murder of Princess Diana. So basically, UKIP, more Tories and Tories, deny the rights of workers, more power to the bosses, which means more power to the corporations. So, the stealth privatization of public services. That means most of the public services will be, which originally were, public service originally, part of the government, is now going to be swallowed up by private corporations such as G4S, Serco, and Capita, and but in a more of a extreme, stealth, secretive, private way. Then we go to this one over here, where basically this is just basically showing certain evidence that the Tories are actually behind UKIP. Promoted by Tina McBath on the Conservative Party, blah de blah de blah de blah. So that is evidence that the Conservative Party has been promoting the UKIP, and UKIP, much of the Conservatives have migrated from the Tories into the UKIP party. So it's different parties, same people, basically. but with more extremist approaches, defining protocol or ideology or policy, and with more extreme methods of fascism, and they even actually blame Jews for the what you call it, the what's, you know, with Germany, World War II and all that, I'm trying to think of the word. Well, you know what I'm getting at. I'm just blank out. It's been playing Mass Effect, so all those terms of Mass Effect is blending in. So anyway, I've forgotten the word. I've forgotten the word where the Jews had been burned to concentration camps and all that. But UKIP was in support of doing that to the United people of the United Kingdom. And to my surprise, out of curiosity, I had been browsing UKIP's basic views on extraterrestrial life, and most of them seem to be mainly kind of in the political thing, focusing on Simon Plant's story that had been on ITV or something like that, and was sex with extraterrestrials causing a problem in his marriage and all that. Now, ironically, I've just took off the internet. Ironically, Linda Reed and even John Curtis and all that, there were actually contacts or so-called friends.
Suggestions can manipulate victims into betraying friends.
That were actually reporting my artwork to be blocked, and the thing is, it's very, very frustrating that, you know, I've been sharing information about paradism and things like that for a better future, clean energy, alternative energy, 0 point energy, all of that. I mean, you know, when I was on Facebook, I was sharing a lot of that, and you'll think they'd learn, but apparently not. They actually probably disagree with it because they support the money, disease, and capitalism. Which gives them more audacity to actually, right recently, throw a label calling me leftist on YouTube when I had been talking about how I forgot the word again. I hate it when I do it. How they've been indoctrinated by, you know. They've been indoctrinated to the point in believing that UKIP is the same as the UK and all that. So basically, so I kind of, only after a few time I could eventually find out that the name of these people who were once so-called friends, kind of like really gone the fascist way, and something really mind-blowing. So there we have it. Then I'm interested as well that about research on UKIP and the military and the defense. On their website, their content has actually been removed, conveniently removed, which is actually sounds very familiar with actually what the Conservatives do on their website. So when something they post is rather controversial and causes quite a debate, they actually censor their own opinions or ideologies, in order to keep people ignorant so they can actually get a better vote. This is actually what is happening. So basically I actually kind of like looked up other places on about defense and military, and there have been places like on YouTube for their support that they would actually have no hesitation in rolling out World War III if the chance should arrive. Very similar to the Conservatives, which I kind of, thank goodness I was a bit slightly wrong in the sense when I kind of like estimated the possibility of World War III. Well, it was very close actually of World War III breaking out, but if it wasn't for people speaking up and things like that, World War III could have actually happened with North Korea and all that, with the UK being involved. So thank goodness that didn't really happen. So that's one good point that that I was a bit wrong about. So there we go. And then here's basically, as I've mentioned, I've in the past I've mentioned about this reoccurring nightmare I have, where you know, the poor and unemployed, the disabled, and the people who are sick get forced into workfare concentration camp-like places or industrial factories to actually work, called workhouses in another sense. This party actually supports that. And these basically workhouses and all that, it was basically the main corporations such as G4S, Serco, Capita, and so on and so forth. So basically this is what they kind of I'll highlight the important points. First off, so yeah, so if you're an asylum seeker and you've kind of escaped a dictatorship country and all that, you have a 5-year wait for British citizen with no right to benefits, and all that asylum seekers would be held in secure units. What is that? Is that like a concentration camp? That is quite something to take note of. Now this is a big one. Life sentence mean life. So they're very pro prison. Deported to terrorist suspects and wind the criminals more easily by scrapping the Human Rights Act. That's also a very scary thing. Then double prison places to create boot camps for young offenders. So all those Section 4 and Section 5 things, instead of going to court or going to court and then just getting a letter or having some money taken from them, they'll go into a boot camp. So that is, and then basically they'll get rid of the Crown Prosecution Service, which means the person who's been accused, whether truthfully accused or falsely accused, would actually would not go to court but will be directly prosecuted by the police, which means the police act as the courts. So it's almost like martial law. So this is what UKIP actually supports. There we go. There's a defense that was kind of probably why it kind of censored off their website. See exactly the link. It's a correct link, but it's been deleted. Defense: increased spending by 40%, double the size of territorial army, increased armed forces by 25%. It very much supports militarization, and they're proposal in implementing another war. By 3 new aircraft carriers, 59 Lightning jet fighters, armed 4 new submarines with nuclear missiles. So they're actually pro-nuclear war. And then with health, French basically privatizing NHS system. So basically it will bring kind of like the same sort of health system we have in South Africa, where you have money, you live; if you don't have money, you die. And I still have post-traumatic stress. Some of my post-traumatic stress disorder was a time just after I had been raped, when I was in South Africa waiting for help, and waiting for the medical aid to be processed. And it was very difficult because I was still on my parents' medical aid, and it took quite a while because I was living a different location in the country, and in order to get treatment and help, if say something happened with the system, I would have been ended up on Shit Street, where I wouldn't have got help or treatment. And while I was actually waiting for this process to be happening, where I should have been treated immediately on the spot, where the bureaucratic crap should have probably been done at the last minute, when I was already lying in the hospital bed trying to recover, right, or in the process of recovery. But they do it while you're waiting to get help. And I actually watched people die, bleeding to death from stab wounds in gang fights or street muggings, dying in front of me. And this was very, very detrimental to my mental well-being, and this is one of the reasons why I just kind of dislike the money disease, where money's been put forward first before life and people and living things. So the only thing will be free will be eye tests and dental checks. Ironically, dental checks is that in correlation to the fluoridation of water? Possibly. If they're trying to indoctrinate people, without any chemicals or narcotics, who says, since they're very much like a fascist organization, it seemed to be pro-Hitler, with pro-Hitler ideology, they would, naturally agree to fluoridating the water of the UK more intensively. And then smoking room and pubs. Smoking room and pubs, ironically, but they would want to take, as I read elsewhere, that they're wanting to take, they have plans that anyone who's living on a benefit, whether it's job seekers, disability, and that instead of having money for people, so the people go up and just get their food supplies, pay their bills and so on, everything will be done on the card, and anything that's tobacco related would not be included, regardless if people are addicted and find it very difficult to stop smoking because of their post-traumatic stress they had, where they actually rely on cigarettes just to help assist in them keeping calm and trying to think rationally when encountered with problems in everyday life. Then welfare means everything. So basically, means non-tested basic cash benefit for low earners. Well, I actually don't have cash benefit. I actually wanted to implement this card system for earners and unemployed. Job seekers allowance and incapacity benefit is scrapped. Child benefit refers to children only. No benefit for anyone who's lived out the UK for 5 years. This is also a very important thing. Their views on the environment is they support coal-powered, and they support nuclear powers. nuclear-powered plants. They disagree with alternative energy, or alternative or renewable energy, and they incentivize the production of electric cars, and they ban schools from showing, that global warming. But the thing is, there is no really global warming, but it's climatic change. Extreme climatic change is what is the planet is encountering pollution, right? And this is also altering the warm air and the cold air flowing around the planet, and it is only causing weather to become extremes, where in some places it gets hot and some places it gets extremely cold. So the planet is trying to balance itself and correct itself, and clean itself from the damage that's caused by human beings. However, human beings believing that pollution isn't causing damage, supporting the oil industry and the pollution, the use of fossil fuels. They not realizing that the more rubbish that happens, the more extreme weather is likely to occur, and often it becomes a convenient excuse to actually throw out the random weather warfare weapon. So people say, because the weather is extreme, they'll just say, oh, it's just another extreme thing, where you wouldn't tell the difference between something that's a naturally extreme weather to something that was actually a weather weapon. So this is the things about UKIP. And UKIP has secret courts. UKIP has secret courts. So if they can have secret courts, what else can they keep in secret? And as you know, they censor their own website for any content that becomes too controversial, that would have them, would cause the possibility for them to lose votes. So them suspending people that leaked out their fascist points of views and all that, who leaked out these fascist point of views, they get suspended. It's just basically candy coating the rest of the party to try and protect it and keep it as stable as possible, so they can get as much votes as possible. And once they're in, it's tickets, and then they can roll out their fascism and enforcements and whatever onto the people. But then it's too late. And they do not like the LGBTI community. That is a biggest concern for me personally, because I'm interested. There we go. UKIP is voting to scrap renewable energy projects. One thing I do agree is much of the renewable energy projects have been entangled with the money disease, and which has rendered them practically bogus. Brilliant ideas, all talk and no action, all centered around the money disease, which is why much of the energy and research has not been put into it, because they haven't even considered the technology that's under the arses of the government with their 5 reverse engineered UFOs, that when applying a 0-point generator to a basic wind generator or a selection of solar panels, would improve and increase the energy production of to actually 10 times or 100 times more than what the device without a 0-point based generator would actually which would so my words might off. So basically, the 0-point generator actually produces 100 times more energy, converts 100 times more energy than a conventional generator system would when applied to wind and solar energy. So basically, because the money disease has screwed up the whole thing, with the whole what you call carbon footprint bullshit and all that, UKIP is using this as an excuse to retain the fossil fuels to entertain the nuclear energy, turning a blind eye on what actually has happened with Fukushima, and still the effects Fukushima has to this present day and to the future, which only gives humanity to survive another 27 more years on this planet. So that's one thing. And you can see, yeah, there we go, energy policy and all that. See, there we go. UKIP also welcomes and support from National Trust to support fracking. So basically, UKIP actually supports fracking, at the same time throwing toxins into the undersoil when extracting toxins as well as radioactive contents into the soil to extract the shale gas, which is basically like squeezing blood out of a stone, and in the same time basically breaking the stone, affecting the environment, the natural ecosystems which have been conserved for quite a long time, which is going to be destroyed because of this, and at the same time as well poisoning drinking water of villages and towns in the area, and also contaminating with the crops and farms. This water will contaminate food, so basically English food will become basically toxic from fracking, and this is what UKIP supports. They're very much stuck in the money disease, and you can easily, it's obvious by their party logo, but with the pound, because pound represents currency, it's money. It's support is just basically money, putting money for life and people. There we go. Furthermore research. Now that was just some more information about World War III and UKIP, and then the Conservatives. UKIP, the nasty poly on the side of the rich bankers who want to like leader. Now this is from Enlight, just another confirmation what I mentioned, that the UKIP seems to support the bankers. To hell with the people of the country. Well, what about all this patriotism and trying to kick out immigrants and all that? Do they even care about the people that's British? No, they don't. All they care about is money. The British people are nothing but human capital worth exploiting, which would bring out the so-called UKIP workhouse. UK in poor workhouse conditions, millions left sick, without sick pay, leave and basic rights. This was what happened in the Victorian times, and already there are G4S and Serco prisons ready for this sort of implementation. So this goes on. Already as well, there's a work fair program with the job centre and all that, particularly with Tesco's and Poundland, where people forced into work without pay, and with the hours. So basically it's slavery. UKIP actually supports slavery of its own people. You're too blind to actually see this. And UKIP would support austerity. There we go. UKIP, the false alternative. They would increase customer services. So basically, they will continue cutting benefits and introduce corporate workfare. Corporate workfare. Oh, it doesn't that link up to the Serco, the G4S, and all that. Besides the milder groups, the Tesco and Poundland and all that. And then claiming people who are unemployed, who couldn't get employment either because of a disability or mental illness or something of the sort, or basically blatant discrimination of being LGBTI or one of those things, and and given the label of being lazy. And people who have post-traumatic stress disorder who just can't cope with a competitive environment and just wish to work and get on with their lives without any bullshit. So, yeah, they very support harsh militarism, harsh police powers, and without, and then increase. So basically, they're very much at a high octane. You know, people are absolutely mad to actually vote UKIP. They're the worse evil than. They're actually much more evil than the Conservatives. Nothing, no better. UK government using immigration as a scapegoat to cover up austerity. So basically, UKIP is very much throwing out things such as anti-immigration, but yet once they get the vote, they're gonna go in the austerity, which would lead to the workhouses scenario. Very much like what it's like in the nightmare that I've been having, and I've seen it all happen, and to be honest, it just blows my mind that people just don't see any better, and they actually mindlessly being indoctrinated to actually vote. But the thing is, you ask me, who am I going to vote and all that? To be honest, people in general have the right to vote, and the so-called democracy. However, it's not really a true democracy, which means that the only right a person or anybody has, or a human being has, is to vote. But you don't have a right to voice your opinion, share ideas that could help improve the situation, improve the future. If you do that, you're considered a terrorist, and you do not comply with the government. Me, I support paradism, and world work without work or money, where technology frees people from slavery and the money disease, the very shit that's destroying this planet, and the very shit that people vote for. So they've got all the tools and resources to actually implement paradism, which is really upsetting when I've been on Facebook and people like Linda Reed, Jimmy Wright, Mary Young, John Curtis, Andy Egbert, who were on my friends list, basically did not even learn from what I shared or even think about it. It feels like I've basically been sharing information for nothing, and it's to be honest, and then knowing that reoccurring nightmare I've been having with all these things, and the UKIP party seems to support it, and seeing every day a step closer to that. I basically didn't want to talk about it, but I just want to talk about this, share this information for you, whether you want to agree with it or disagree with it. I just share it to put my mind to rest, that I would say that I haven't said anything. That I have the point in fact that where I have said something, and in the future when the time comes, I would sit and think and say, you know, that I don't regret myself for not saying anything, you know, thinking about why people are dying and everything like that, being exploited so badly to the point that their lives have been treated completely inhumane. And I'll say, you know, I said something. You can't say I never said anything, I never warned anybody. But now letting people know whether you either agree with it or not. just telling you as it is, and I'm expecting the point where the time will come where, whether I'm alive or not, you'll say, "Oh, I remember this. What this nutty lady said way back," and whether I'm alive or not, reach the point where, like today, when I mentioned stuff about 3 years ago with the Conservatives, when the majority of the stuff has already happened, and I say, "I told you so. I told you so. I told you so." The only good thing is that World War III hadn't happened yet. With David Cameron, it was very close, but I'm glad it didn't happen. But it was very close, and I was wrong there and I actually hope I'm wrong with this. But give and take, the majority of the things I've mentioned here will most likely be correct when comparing the results of the previous, with the Conservatives going in, to if ever the UKIP goes in. And even when the Conservatives are coming again, it's still the same fears about workhouses, concentration camps, executions, inquisitions, all that. And you know, to be honest, there's really no future for it. And that's why I just want to get down and continue with my art, because I'm absolutely sick of this bullshit. But I don't want to regret myself. I don't want to regret myself saying that I never said anything. At least I've said something, but now it's up to the people to choose their own choices. I'm sharing information, so you've got the right to disagree or not agree. And at least I'm throwing some information so you can think about and work on your decisions and all that. Whether you want to vote or scrap your party, or whether you want to not even vote at all. As you know, when you sign up or register to vote, your name and details get captured by a private corporation and they get sold across certain companies. And one of the companies actually put your information openly on a website called 129.com, so you can search your name or even your postal code. It will find you, and they'll probably have your phone number and all those details. And it is quite a serious thing if you wish to remain anonymous with your own security from private corporations. I don't mind friends and that finding me, people who do not have an agenda to inflict pain and suffering or even exploit me. I don't mind that, but when people use my contact details, search for here, just to exploit me, to get money out of me, or to try and manipulate me, or try and, you know, do inhumane things to me, that's when I'm a bit concerned, when I need a bit of security. And that is one of the reasons why I'm not voting. And also another thing why I'm not voting is because there's no political party out there that wants to bring about parrotism. www.parrotism.org to look it up, or to release and to promote alternative energy and renewable energies. There's the Green Party, but they are kind of cut up in there, but they're doing there a bit. The Pirate Party is a bit more promising, a bit more things I agree upon. However, there's no political party that's wanting to implement terrorism or something similar, which is why I couldn't find any reason to vote. You know, so there's no point in voting with these if I don't have a choice. And the thing is, why should I only have the right to vote when I myself need to have the right to voice an opinion? Why should all decisions that be made in Parliament affect everybody else's life, whether they agree with it or not, without even hearing what people have to say? this is not democracy, and that's what I'm going to say. And I'm basically dumbfounded, stunned that people that supposedly know me have gone into the sort of thing with UKIP. It's blowing my mind actually. Anyway, I've had to say, okay, now I can show artwork and so on and so forth.